What's up, everybody? Welcome to my advanced programming course. My name is Alex Louis. Today we're going to talk about range-based for loops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you, first I'm going to go over the old way. So that's the first thing. So the old way to iterate through loops. And then the second way is the range-based way, which is the better way, I think, to go through a for loop, at least in an array. Okay, so let's get started. Let's look at the code real quick. So this is the old way. Basically, this program is going to ask for a couple of values. You're going to enter the values in the command line, and then we're going to read in the data into the numbers array one by one, right? And then we're just going to print it out. Sorry, this should be S10. We're just going to print it out same way, old way. We have a for loop, initialize it to 0. We're going up to size, and then we increment by 1 in every iteration. So let's run this real quick. So the only difference you're going to see here is that is syntactically. I mean, everything else just stays the same. It's just a different way. For me, it's a little bit cleaner by using a range-based loop. But it's all up to you in terms of your preference. So if I do that, perfectly fine. So again, old way to do it. New way. Okay, new way. So let's comment this out. So we'll say new way. So in range-based loops, what we basically do is we do the concept of for in. So we'll say for, right? And then int, and then we'll just declare any type of variable that we want to use as an indexer. So I'll just say idx colon and then numbers. Okay, I can just basically copy this here, but I don't have to do this anymore. I can just do idx. Oops. So let's take a look at this, right? So in terms of control, you have a little bit of less control with a range-based loop because you're always going to go forward. So that's one of the little caveats of a range-based loop, is you're always going forward. With a for loop before the old way, you could have gone backwards. You could have started at size and then do I minus minus. With a for range-based loop, you're going forward, which means that for every value, you're just going to jump across one by one. So for each element in my numbers array, okay, we're going to loop. So what's the value of idx in the first iteration is whatever we type. We're not really going to type in, but we are going to go through it, okay, and we are going to populate the element, and that's why I have this little ampersand here. So the little ampersand, it means that I'm passing the variable by reference. And what this means is that now I can edit it, and it's going to immediately affect the element inside my numbers array. Okay, so when I enter the value 4 here, the element 4 will go into numbers array of 0. So let's do this again. Okay, so 4, 3, oops, 2, 1, and then 0. Okay, and then you see that there's really no difference in the output, but right, the way that we did it is a little different. Now let's look at this in a visual way, and this way I can give you a better picture of what's going on. So as you see here, we have our little code segment, right, from our program. Okay, I'm gonna move this here. Okay, so assume that we have numbers, right? This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is our numbers array. Okay, so that's what we're that's what we're going to iterate here. Okay, by default, idx will become this box here. Okay, by default. So this will print out, and then what are we doing here? We're reading data from input, right? Because on the first iteration, IDX has a pass by reference because of the ampersand, right? Whatever I type in becomes the value of IDX and also will become the value at the 0th element. So I typed in 4. Okay. That's the first iteration. Now we go to the next iteration. Okay. Now this automatically gets incremented by 1. So that means that this will move and IDX will become 1. Again, pass by reference, right, because of the ampersand. And then whatever I read in here is, we'll do 3, right? So because it's passed by reference over here, the value is set to 3. And then as I go down, right, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, IDX keeps going with me, right? So it's a little different in terms of mindset because you're always going forward. And I think and this is only in this case where you want to populate an array, right? So you're populating the array, and the reason that you use, the way to populate the array using a for range loop is you have to use an ampersand to make it a pass by reference. If it was a pass by value means you're making a copy of it, but you're not really going to edit anything inside the numbers array. Okay, so anytime you want to populate it, or write to the numbers array in a for range based loop, you're going to have to use the pass by reference. Okay, now let's take a look at how we can write the result. Okay, you can write the result. Now, one last thing I did forget to mention. You have to remember that you must have the underlying base type equal to the actual data type of your array. In this case, numbers is an int, and for our index, it's also an int. Wouldn't make sense to use a char because we are not dealing with a char array. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of the code, and we'll write it in using a range-based for loop. Okay, so here you see this is the old way, and we're just going to comment this out. Now what I'll do is I'll say for, remember, data type of the array, so we'll just say val into numbers. Okay, now notice this is passed by value, and it's okay because we're not really editing anything. Now we do that. Okay, so let's execute that. We'll do 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Perfect. Same exact result, but let's take a look at what's happening here. Okay. In the previous example, what we were doing is we were writing to the array. In this case, we want to read from the array. And when you read, doesn't make sense to do a pass by reference. You maybe just want to do a copy, pass by value. Okay. So same deal. At this point in the game, your array has already been populated. 4. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Sorry, I think the values are mixed, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, now, first iteration for val in numbers. So remember, you're always going forward. You're never going to go backward. And you don't have to increment anything because it's always going to go forward. So for val in numbers, so val is now here. Okay. Print it out, right? So what's the value of val? Right now it is, so I'll put an output. It's 5. And then we print a space here, right? Execute the body, come back up, okay? Remember, for every iteration, val is going to move up. So val becomes now index of 1, and the value is 4. So we print out 4, moves up, print out 3, move up, print out 2, move up, and print out 1. Okay? So again, we're always moving forward, and for every move, right, we're going to execute the body. So originally when we started at 5, when val was 5, we executed this body here. When val was 4, right, the value 4, we executed the body. Okay, so there's no sense of indexes in a sense here with a range-based loop. You're basically just iterating through the values, and you're automatically assigning the value to your index variable here. Okay, I hope that that makes sense, and you can experiment a little bit with range-based for loops. There are some cases where the use case will make you use a regular for loop, but this is another tool in your arsenal that you can use when you just want to quickly iterate through an array. And I believe a lot of other programming languages have gone this route as well with using a range-based for loop. But again, remember, you can only move forward. You can't move backward. And there's really no sense of indexes here. You are just using this index variable, such as val, to keep track of the values as you go through the array. Okay? All right. I hope to see you in the next video. We'll talk about processing array contents.